WrestleMania is the grandest stage of them all, but sometimes it's not about the match, it's not about the spectacle or anything like that. Sometimes it's just the journey. The journey or the build to how we got to a certain WrestleMania match is almost just as important to the actual match itself because it builds hype, and there's nothing that hits more different than a WrestleMania hype package, or as I call it, a WrestleMania promo. So today we're going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to give you my top 10 WrestleMania promos or hype packages of all time, in my opinion, of course. So if you like this type of content, leave a like, subscribe, because we're on the road to 10K. Let me in. Now, here are my top 10 WrestleMania promos of all time. At number 10, we have Vince McMahon versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 19. Listen, I don't like either of these people, especially Vince McMahon, because obviously he's a piece of garbage, and Hulk Hogan for different reasons. Storyline-wise and in WWE history-wise, this is a very emotional promo, and it's 20 years in the making. It was based upon real-life events of Hogan leaving WWE to go to WCW, the whole lawsuit with Vince McMahon and steroids and all of that stuff. It was a match that was built on true events, and it was an emotional promo with a very emotional soundtrack to it. And something that I always remember vividly, even when I was growing up, is the moment where Vince McMahon is literally stabbing Hulk Hogan in the head with a pen, with Vince McMahon saying he's going to kill Hulkamania. I can imagine how people must have felt that grew up during the Hulk Hogan era and leading in all the way 20 years later to WrestleMania 19 to see something like that was probably an emotional roller coaster for some people. So that is my number 10 spot. At number 9, we have The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 26, Career versus The Streak. And this is a match that I feel like nobody wanted either of them to lose. And it's an emotional promo because it's one last time and the rematch to the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. With that iconic song of Running Up That Hill, it's a different version of it, but I feel like it fits the emotional side of it for that match. But I did see that there are a different version of this promo with a different song, but I'm talking about the Running Up That Hill one because I feel like that one just embodies the emotional aspect of Shawn's possibly retiring versus Undertaker's streak really on the line. It's a fantastic promo that really helps build up to the rematch, which is also one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Next, we have Triple H versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 33 in an unsanctioned match. I love this promo because it shows the duality that Triple H is, as he is the CFO of WWE, but also is the cerebral assassin, and he tries so hard to not be that guy anymore. And I love that little storytelling in it. With the whole history of Seth Rollins and Triple H with the authority and all of that, it makes a lot of sense. With Seth Rollins also returning from his injury, it's a great story to a not so great match, but storyline wise, it's an awesome promo. I love when they show Triple H sitting on the throne where they're cutting to him in a suit and then him in his gear, just saying he doesn't want to be that guy anymore. And then to top it all off, you have the song Savage by Metallica playing. It's freaking awesome. Next, we have The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18, where this is what I think is the first dream match, so to speak, in WWE, with a returning Hulk Hogan who hasn't been at WrestleMania in 9 years, in his NWO gear no less, versus one of that generation's best in The Rock. This is truly simply one of the biggest matches of all time, and on top of this being an iconic promo for many different reasons, this is a personal one to me because I owned the WrestleMania DVD when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I would always watch that match because it's one of my favorite matches ever, and I know the promo word for word. And when I was younger, I used to have this Cat in the Hat doll that was about 2.5 feet tall, and me and him used to have 5-star matches. I would mimic the matches that I was watching, and we would just fight to the freaking death. I love this promo. It reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me as a kid, and it just has a special place in my heart. This match truly is icon versus icon. At number 6, we have Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40, and I love this match. I could talk about this match literally for days about everything that as to why I love this match, but I love the promo build up to it because just the build to WrestleMania 40 for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns was just iconic and unforgettable, and to live through it was absolutely insane. The rematch from WrestleMania 39, which was also an amazing match, the build to this was awesome, and I love that they can bring back Imagine Dragons for the underdog stories all the time because it just fits so well. And there's a part in the promo where they talk about being healed and resurrected, and they cut to Cody Rhodes as Stardust, and I think that's a really cool thing to have a callback like that to show where Cody Rhodes was to where he's gotten, and as he's fighting to conquer his demon and finish his story and win the championship his father never won. I love it. It's one of my favorite matches ever. Just an amazing promo. And considering I was at WrestleMania 40, I used to watch that promo over and over again to really hype myself up for it because I was so excited. And it was an amazing event, an amazing experience, and I love this promo so much. At number 5, we have Triple H versus HBK versus Chris Benoit. I know this is super controversial. We're not supposed to talk about this match. This match doesn't exist anymore in WWE lore. I understand that. Chris Benoit is a horrible person. I get all that. But in just pro wrestling, wrestling, this is one of my favorite promos ever because watching this and living through this was incredible because you have three of really the best in-ring competitors ever, with the story being told through music of the song Step Up by Drowning Pool, which is an amazing WrestleMania song and really makes this story super intense. And it's really funny because this is basically the same storyline we got for Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, and people were upset that Rhea was part of it, which I thought was hilarious because Shawn Michaels did the exact same thing that Rhea Ripley did, and I think that's really funny that they rehashed it and it still worked. And it actually turned out to also be one of the best triple threat matches ever. But this promo is incredible. The underdog story going into it was great. It was the first version of like the Daniel Bryan storyline. To top it all off, it is one of the greatest triple threat matches, not only in WWE history, but WrestleMania history, and just one of the best matches to ever happen at WrestleMania. And it's really unfortunate we can't talk about it anymore because of, obviously, Raw. It sucks, but the match itself is incredible, and I love the promo. At number 4, we have Roman Reigns versus Seth frickin' Rollins versus CM Punk at WrestleMania 41. I don't care about recency bias. I think this promo is incredible. I love the intro to it where it's just them fighting with a really eerie song that reminds me of the movie The Northman. It's just a really cool and intense promo showing the hatred that the three of them have for each other, just going to absolute war. And then just the storytelling throughout the entire promo is awesome. I love all three of these guys, and I think they had an amazing match, one of the best triple threat matches of all time. Something that I do love is instrumental music. Like, I actually listen to instrumental music on my own. So just to have something like that for a promo like this to really show absolute war that these three were going to go through and going through hell to get to the other side is incredible, and I love it. I don't care that it's just came out and you're going to be like, oh, well, it's recency bias. It's not. The promo is incredible. Now, before we get to the top 3, here are some of my honorable mentions. We have Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. The story of Cody Rhodes making his way all the way back to WWE after being released is just a great story. And it's one of the few times where the buildup was so good that you weren't really sure who was going to win. And it was actually shocking that Roman Reigns won the match. But I love the promo and the buildup to it. Next is The Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. I love Bray Wyatt and the mind games he was trying to play on The Undertaker, especially after The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania 30. It was like The Undertaker is actually dead. Like, he's not the same anymore. And I love that aspect of Undertaker really playing mind games again with Bray Wyatt. It's a lot of fun. And I love the song in it. I forgot the name of it, but I'll find it and I'll link it below. Next is Brock Lesnar versus Triple H at WrestleMania 29. Just a fun story of Brock terrorizing Triple H and all of his friends being the beast that Brock Lesnar is. It's a really cool story, and having them brawl and fight is a lot of fun. Next is Triple H versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 28 in the end of an era match. How can you not like this promo with Metallica playing? Do I need to explain? Next is Triple H versus Daniel Bryan in that monster promo for Daniel Bryan. This is probably in many people's top 10 or one of their favorites, which I totally understand. It's like right outside of my top 10. So I did want to at least shout it out because it is awesome. And I love the storyline of Daniel Bryan going to WrestleMania, having to beat Triple H to then get entered into the triple threat match. Daniel Bryan beating Evolution in one night is incredible. And I love the fact that he has basically an entire WrestleMania dedicated to himself. And I think that's awesome. And that's a dream come true for so many people. This is an awesome promo to show how Daniel Bryan got not only to WWE, but got his way into making WrestleMania 30 his WrestleMania. Next is the tag team match at WrestleMania 40 for The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Kind of similar sentiment to how I feel about Roman versus Cody 2. It's the same thing. The buildup was incredible. The Rock is my favorite wrestler of all time. And just watching this leading into WrestleMania weekend, I was so excited. And to be there made it 10 times better. I would just hype myself up almost every day watching these promos. It was awesome. At number 3, we have The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania 29. I love the story of John Cena getting his redemption on The Rock. I didn't want John Cena to win, but it was very clear that John Cena was going to win. He spent the entire year getting back to where he wanted to be. Him showing the regret he had at WrestleMania 28, working his way back into the main event to fight The Rock once again. And the whole package being highlighted by the soundtrack by Civil Twilight with Letters from the Sky is an incredible song. I love it. I listen to it all the time. It's a great song and a great promo to really show the story of John Cena getting back to where he needed to be. For my last two, these two are interchangeable, so just take that into consideration. But at number 2, we have The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 17. I don't even know if I really have to say anything. People know this promo. A lot of people think this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest promo of all time. It is literally just your two greatest stars, possibly of all time, going one-on-one at the biggest stage of them all. Soundtracked by My Way by Limp Bizkit, one of my favorite songs ever. I listen to it all the time, especially in the gym. It's incredible. Literally two of your GOATs going at it. You get something like this once in a lifetime, and to have your two biggest stars being aligned at the same time, being able to go one-on-one at WrestleMania is incredible. It's an amazing story and just two of the greatest ever. don't really have to explain much. At number 1, we have The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19. Even though I think WrestleMania 17 might have the better promo, I prefer the WrestleMania 19 one because it's the overall history and the trilogy ending, feud ending, putting a bow tie on the entire history of The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in one promo. Like JR says, it's not about titles, it's not about money, it's just personal. And I'm so shocked that they did not main event in their final match together. And little did we know this would be Stone Cold's last match before he retired, and then The Rock would also go to Hollywood, and that was really the end of his full-time career with WWE. So while this being the history of the entire feud of The Rock and Stone Cold throughout the years, it's also their last match together and something that we really didn't know what was going to happen. With the song Crack Addict being the chosen one for this promo, I think it's a great song to use for this because The Rock is addicted to trying to beat Stone Cold at WrestleMania because it's the last thing he's never done. He's done everything in a really, really short time span, which when you look back at it is insane. Only 6 years, 1.5 to almost 2 years was him just getting his feet wet before he became who he was. So like in a 4-year span, The Rock became one of the greatest ever, which is insane. The last thing he had to do was to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. And to have that be the ending promo to their entire feud throughout the last 5 years is just great. And it's my personal favorite. I do think the My Way one's probably better. And depending on what day you ask me, I might say that. But my personal choice for my favorite number 1 promo of all time is The Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 17. So these are just my personal choices. Obviously, there's a million promos you could pick, and some people are gonna be like, how could you pick this promo for that? That one sucks. This match sucks. How do you not like Kid Rock? I understand we all have different choices and different preferences, and I know this is very Rock heavy, but I also do think they're legitimately good promos and you could argue why they are some of the best ever created. Let me know what you think. Let me know your favorites. I would love to hear some of them. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.